This video is all about Korean subject markers. Let's start by identifying parts of a sentence. Most of you probably already know this stuff, but it's useful background information. Here is an example sentence. I hide. This sentence contains a subject and a verb. The verb is the action word. The verb in our example is hide. The subject is the noun, which is doing the verb. A noun is a thing, person, or place. In this example, the verb is hide, and the thing, which is hiding, is I. So I is the subject of the sentence. Subject markers are suffixes that you attach to the end of the word that is the subject of the sentence. And there are two types of subject markers, the n/n variety and the ga/e variety. Ga and n subject markers go after words that end in vowels. E and n subject markers go after words that end in consonants. Both varieties are used to identify the subject, but the difference between them is that the ga/e variety puts extra emphasis on the subject, and the n/n variety puts extra emphasis on the action. If you want to say I hide in a way that makes it clear that you are hiding, not doing something else, then use the n/n variety, 나는 숨어. If you want to say I hide in a way that makes it clear to everyone that it is I who is hiding, not anyone else, I, then use the ga/e variety of subject marker. Let me give you an example situation because subject markers can be tricky to understand. If I ask, what do? You answer, 나는 숨어. I hide. That's what I do. If I ask, who hides? You answer, 내가 숨어. I hide. That's who. Do you see the difference? Ga emphasizes the subject, and nun emphasizes the action. Let's look at our example with the n/n variety of subject marker first. You label the subject of the sentence with the ending nun if the subject ends in a vowel, or an n if the subject ends in a consonant. In this case, we have a vowel, so we use nun. 나는 숨어. Now the polite form, 저는 숨어요. And the formal form, 저는 숨습니다. The nun or un is actually optional. When you have a very short sentence like this, it's obvious which word is the subject, so a subject marker is not necessary. If you have a more complex sentence, the subject markers are very helpful in avoiding confusion. Also, there's a shorthanded way of writing the subject markers. Instead of 나는, you may just see non. Instead of 저는, you may just see 전. The shorthand subject marker is just an n instead of a full nun. You might see the shorthanded spelling with any noun that ends in a vowel. You will hear people talk like this and write like this in email and other unofficial forms of communication, but you won't see these shorthand subject markers printed in books or in the president's speech or anything official like that. It's just one of those lazy habits. Now let's talk about the ga/e variety. Like I said before, you use the ga/e ending if you want to put extra emphasis on the subject. The ga goes at the end of subjects that end in vowels, and the e goes at the end of subjects that end in consonants. But something special happens with the pronouns 저, 나, and 느. They end in vowels, so you would expect them to get the ga subject marker, but they actually get both, e and ga, like this. And now, watch this magic. The e joins the a in 저 and 느 to make e, and the e joins the a in 나 to make e. So we have 제가, 내가, and 내가. Remember learning about this vowel, a? It's meant to be pronounced a, but is often pronounced like eh. Well, you really don't want to get I and you mixed up. So having two very similar sounding words is going to get confusing. So here's what Koreans do. This one, casual I with the ga subject marker, is pronounced ne and ne, just like it's written. And this one, casual U with the ga subject marker, is pronounced ni. It's one of those words that is not pronounced the way it's written. It's ni. Sometimes in unofficial communication, like chatting on the internet, some people will even write it as ni. And yeah, a ga subject marker after the ni. This is the word that makes English speakers a little uncomfortable. But we all know what we mean. So let's do our example with the e/ga subject marker. The casual form of I hide is 내가 숨어, and the polite form of I hide is 제가 숨어요, and the formal form 제가 숨습니다. And just to make it clear, it is only these three pronouns which get both the e and the ga subject markers. For all other pronouns, nouns, and names, use only the e subject marker if the word ends in a consonant, or only a ga subject marker if the word ends in a vowel. You may sometimes hear e and ga subject markers called subject marking particles, and you may hear nun and n subject markers called topic marking particles. So subject markers, in sum, put them at the end of the subject, i.e. the noun that is doing the verb. When emphasizing the action, use n if the subject ends in a consonant, or nun if the subject ends in a vowel. Nun is often shortened to just n in unofficial communication. When emphasizing the subject, use e if the subject ends in a consonant, or ga if the subject ends in a vowel. You must add both e and ga to the pronouns cho, na, and ne when emphasizing the subject to get 제가, 내가, and 니가. Subject markers are optional and can be omitted if the subject of the sentence is already obvious and you don't want to draw extra attention to either the action or the subject. It might seem unnecessary to have to mark the subject, but let's think of a more complex sentence. I hide the dog. There are two nouns in this sentence. Mom, I hide the dog in Peter's backpack so Ashley can't see him. There are lots of nouns in this sentence. And Korean puts words in a different order than English, so in English it might be obvious which noun is the subject, but when this sentence is translated into Korean, the word order is changed, and it might not be so clear. Also, Korean uses implied subjects. Remember learning about how Korean is a pronoun drop language? We talked about that in the Korean pronouns video, if you saw that one. So what pro-drop means is that you can drop the pronouns from your sentence. When you speak Korean, you can identify the subject by name in the first sentence of your paragraph, and then just omit the subject in the following sentences. So in sum, because of the different word order, and because of the practice of dropping the subject once it has been established, subject markers become a necessary part of Korean language. I hope that makes things clear for you. You can find this page and this page linked in the description, as well as a transcript of the lesson. Till next time, thanks for studying with me.